everyone, welcome back into the shop. I wanted to give you all an update on the motorcycle restoration project. Been a little slow, but I have been doing some things. We're getting close to where I'm going to swap out the original carburetor with the new one, and that is something I really will document and have a good video to show you. But in the meantime, I'm just trying to get to that point, getting all the wiring, getting all that stuff set up. So let's take a look real quick. So I did put the controls, all the switches, I got all that hooked up, and the new grips all through here, both sides. I do have to put the other mirror on the left side, but all the switches hooked up. I wanted to go ahead and put the fairing and the light bar and everything back together, but before I did that, I wanted to test all the switches. And when I went to turn the electrical on, battery was dead. So I wanted to test out all the wiring to make sure everything was wired correctly. There's nothing worse than having to put everything back together and you go to fire it up and then you got something wrong, you got to take it all apart again. So wanted to just give this a good test to see if everything was wired up correctly, but you can't do that on a dead battery. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, get this out of here and get this on the charger and start cleaning up some of that wiring. All right, so I got another strap on. Yeah, that's not good. All right, I got another strap in place, and I put it around the new handlebar. I had to make sure that it was solid and secure. I remember putting this on loose. I still haven't tightened it down or torqued it down to make sure this didn't give way, because if you have ever worked on motorcycles, you know you strap it on either side to keep it balanced and upright. Now you can loosen this one, and hopefully it doesn't try to tip, and we are good to go. So now with this out of the way, I got to take this chrome cover off, get to the battery, pull that battery out and get it on the charger. Just as a precaution, battery's out, I went ahead and tightened this strap back up. Again, probably overkill on my part, but that's me. Got the battery on the workbench now, but let's go ahead and get it started. While that's running, I'm gonna try to clean this mess up a little bit. So we've cleaned up the wires a little bit, these plastic ties. I got the switches wired in, all that good stuff. And we're gonna see if this actually works. Did put the battery back in, it's all hooked up. So let's go ahead and turn on the ignition, see what kind of lights we get. All right, so the center light is normal. Now this should turn on the lights. I don't have the headlamp in, but I can see a light in the speedometer there. Let's try the turn signal. And it does not flash. Let's try one of the switches. This switch is the hazard lights. So looks like the rear is flashing, but the front are not. And it is flashing on the instrument cluster. So definitely got some wiring screwed up there. And then my other switch is the light bar. And when I turn that on, the turn signal lamps come on, and these are very dim. So this is exactly why you do these tests. Now I thought did this over time. It's not anything that I unhooked and set it up and rewired it all in the same day, knowing where every single wire goes. And because there's some customized pieces on here, the shop manual is not giving me exactly what I'm looking for. When you start customizing things, the wiring can just be a complete headache. Still working on this wiring. You'll notice my shirt's different, beard may be a little longer. I've had to put the wiring down.
and just step away from it because it's frustrating the heck out of me, and I even may need some help. Sometimes when you're working on these restoration projects, it can be so frustrating. You just got to put stuff down, walk away from it, give yourself a couple days, a week, whatever, and then pick it back up with fresh mind, fresh eyes, and see if you can't get it to work out for you. But one of the biggest things that can go wrong when you're working with wiring is the ground. I will always tell you, I forget this constantly, but I will always tell you, check the ground when you're having electrical issues or something's going on with your wiring. Chances are it's the ground. You get a solid ground in your wiring and everything comes to life and it works perfect. That was the case for some of the issues I was having. I couldn't get the light bar to light right. I couldn't get the light bar to function properly. I could wire one side, it would work. The other side, it would work. I put them together, they wouldn't work. I found out it was because the light bar itself was not grounded. I determined that the lights are grounded on the inside to the metal here, and then this is bolted onto the frame of the bike, which grounds it. Once I put a bolt in place to ground it to the frame, everything started working with the turn signals and the light bar. I wired the light bar into the headlamp, so when you turn on the headlamp, then the light bar will come to life with a switch. That works okay. It goes off with the high beam. I believe this was the design. Let me know if I got that right, because then this is, the light bar was an add-on, and I'm not sure how they configured it back in '72, or really how it should be configured today. One of the other things I encountered was what I believe is a bad flasher. There's two flashers in this setup, one for the hazards, one for the signals left and right. And one would work, the other wouldn't. Hazards worked, and then the turn signals wouldn't. I flipped the flasher, and then the opposite happened. The signals worked, the hazards didn't. Ordered one off Amazon, real cheap part, just to see if it behaves differently or starts to work or whatever. We'll see. I'm gonna hook that up. Let's get back to work. I'm gonna go ahead and turn some power on here. Okay. And we'll hit. All right, so you can see I've got left signal, right signal flashing. And you can see that the tail light dims. This is gonna be the instruments cluster that's flashing, but also this center bulb. But as you can see, this center bulb seems to be dimming as well. All right, fast forwarding a little bit, just because I can't hold the camera and do this kind of stuff at the same time, I hooked up the replacement flasher. This is just a cheap one I found on Amazon, and my signal lamps are down here. Let me try, see if we can't get that to work. Oh, that's the horn button. Even the horn doesn't work. Okay, so we've got flash there, flashing there, and flashing, but the tail light, I don't know if you can see it here, the tail light is flashing as well. So something's off there. This is the frustrating thing about wiring, having to backtrack, retrace everything. Definitely something is off, because now I just have the tail light flashing, which really should be the signal lamps. Checking my switches. This is the hazard switch. To activate it, these two wires, I confirmed with the manual, they actually go to the directional, the signal lamps to the rear. I have no idea why the tail light's flashing when these wires are for the signals, and it's going right into the flasher itself. So I don't have a good solution for this kind of stuff. It's very frustrating. It takes a lot of time. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. It is so difficult. You have to retrace one wire at a time and make sure that you've got good connections. Everything is, I don't know. I'm gonna have to put this down again and probably go back and look at the wiring diagrams. I did find I found a wire that wasn't connected to anything. clearly that could be an issue, but I think it has something to do with the way the light bar was hooked up before I started changing stuff. It's gonna be time consuming, not worth a video to go back and trace every single wire one at a time. But it looks like I may have to do that to try to figure out what's not grounded or what's shorting out or what's cross-wired, or well, I don't know. I really don't know what the answer is. Help. If you have any idea, drop me a comment below. Also, drop me a thumb and be sure to subscribe so you can follow along with this story. You can find out if I ever get it to work, and I'll keep you updated, and I'll share with you what I had to do. But I'm determined we will get this. Hey, I encourage you every video to never stop learning, and that goes for me too. So I'm the Capable Gentleman, showing you ways to go from dirty to dapper, and yes, to encourage you to never stop learning. And until next time, be kind, everyone. See you next week.